Introduction: Compressed gases. Good morning, team. Today we're going to cover a topic that may seem routine but carries serious risks if handled improperly: compressed gas safety. Compressed gases like nitrogen, oxygen, acetylene, and carbon dioxide are used every day across construction, maintenance, and industrial projects. They're critical for cutting, welding, purging, pressurizing, and even preserving materials. But they also come with serious hazards. Whether you're handling cylinders or simply working nearby, it's important to understand the risks, not just to avoid OSHA citations, but to protect your life and your crew's lives. This short training is designed to help you understand the safe handling, storage, and use of compressed gas cylinders, raise awareness of asphyxiation hazards, especially with gases like nitrogen, and prevent incidents that can lead to serious injury, property damage, or fatality. By the end of this session, you'll know what to look for, how to respond, and how to stay safe when working around compressed gases. Let's get started. 2. Hazards of compressed gases. Now let's talk about the real dangers of working around compressed gas cylinders, because the risks are more serious than most people realize. First, these cylinders are under extremely high pressure. If a valve is knocked off or a cylinder falls and ruptures, it can launch like a missile. That's not an exaggeration. It can go through walls, vehicles, or worse, people. That's why cylinders must always be stored upright and secured properly with a chain or strap. Second, there are serious fire and explosion hazards, especially when oxygen is involved. When oxygen mixes with flammable gases like acetylene or propane, the environment becomes highly combustible. Even a small leak can turn into a deadly situation if there's a spark nearby. Next is improper use of hoses or regulators. Using the wrong regulator or attaching a damaged hose can lead to backflow, pressure buildup, or undetected leaks. Always inspect your equipment before use and never try to rig something to make it work. And finally, there's one of the most silent but deadly risks: asphyxiation. Gases like nitrogen are odorless, tasteless, and invisible. If there's a leak in a confined or poorly ventilated area, nitrogen can displace the oxygen in the air, causing you to lose consciousness without any warning. You won't feel it coming. That's why proper ventilation and oxygen monitoring are non-negotiable when working with inert gases. So remember, these cylinders may look harmless standing in a corner, but if mishandled, they can be fatal. 3. Safe handling practices. Now that we've covered the dangers, let's go over how to handle compressed gas cylinders the right way. First, always store cylinders in an upright position and make sure they are secured with a chain or strap. Never leave a cylinder freestanding. Even a slight nudge or vibration can cause it to tip, especially on uneven surfaces. A falling cylinder can damage the valve, or worse, turn it into a projectile. Second, use the correct cart when moving cylinders. These are not meant to be rolled on their sides or dragged. Only use a cart with proper support and make sure the cylinder is strapped in during transport. A careless move can not only damage the cylinder, but also injure you or someone else. Third, always keep the valve protection cap in place when the cylinder is not in use. That cap protects the valve from impact, and if that valve breaks, you're dealing with a rocket, not a gas container. Fourth, don't mix up your cylinders. Full and empty cylinders should be stored separately, and everything should be clearly labeled. This helps avoid confusion, especially in emergency situations or when work gets busy. Empty cylinders still have pressure and can still be dangerous. Fifth, make sure you are using a regulator that matches the gas type. Not all regulators are the same. Mixing them up can lead to dangerous leaks or incorrect pressure output. Never force connections that don't fit. And finally, always inspect your cylinders, valves, and hoses before use. Look for dents, rust, missing labels, or any signs of wear. Check for leaks by using soapy water or an approved leak detector. Never use a flame. Handling compressed gas safely isn't just about avoiding citations, it's about protecting lives. Treat every cylinder like it could be the one that fails, and follow best practices every single time. 4. Asphyxiation risk. Let's now talk about one of the most silent but deadly risks on a job site: asphyxiation due to oxygen displacement. Gases like nitrogen are commonly used for purging systems or pressurizing lines, but here's the danger. Nitrogen is completely odorless, colorless, tasteless, and non-irritating. You won't smell it, see it, or feel it. If it leaks into a confined or poorly ventilated space, it can displace the oxygen in the air without any warning. This is especially dangerous in confined spaces, purge areas, or any room with limited airflow. It doesn't take much. Just a small leak in a sealed area can lower oxygen levels below safe limits within minutes. When oxygen drops below 19.5%, it's considered oxygen deficient by OSHA, and that's when symptoms begin. Workers may experience dizziness, headache, shortness of breath, confusion, and in extreme cases, loss of consciousness and death. And often the person has no time to react. That's why it's critical to always use oxygen monitors or sensors in enclosed or suspect areas. Test the atmosphere before entry, especially in tanks, mechanical rooms, or areas being purged. Wear the proper PPE, such as supplied air respirators or SCBAs, if entering an area where oxygen displacement may occur. And never ignore alarm signals or remove safety systems for convenience. Just because a space looks safe doesn't mean it is. If a gas is displacing oxygen, you won't know until it's too late, unless you've taken the right steps. Remember, what you can't see can absolutely kill you. So treat inert gases like nitrogen with respect and always monitor oxygen levels before and during work. 5. Emergency procedures. Even with all the right precautions in place, emergencies can still happen. That's why it's critical to know exactly what to do if something goes wrong around compressed gas cylinders. If you ever suspect a gas leak, do not try to investigate it alone. Your first action should be to evacuate the area immediately. Your safety and the safety of those around you come first. Next, report the issue to your supervisor or the safety lead right away. Don't assume someone else already has. Fast reporting allows us to assess the risk, isolate the leak, and prevent harm. Never try to tighten, loosen, or fix a valve while the system is pressurized. Even experienced workers can get seriously injured by sudden releases of gas under pressure. These adjustments must be made only when the system is safely shut down and depressurized. And finally, if the incident involves a confined space, activate the confined space emergency response plan immediately. This isn't the time for improvisation. Time is critical in oxygen-deficient environments, and only trained personnel with proper rescue equipment should enter. The key is stay calm, move quickly, and follow procedure. Every second counts, and the right response can save lives. Compressed gas mishap case studies. The valve snap. Oxygen cylinder launch. In a welding shop, a worker knocked over an unsecured oxygen cylinder. It hit the floor valve first. The valve snapped clean off, and the full cylinder rocketed across the room like a missile, punching through a cinder block wall. Thankfully, no one was in its path, but the damage was extensive. What went wrong? The cylinder was not secured upright with a chain. Valve protection cap was not installed while not in use. Safety takeaway. Always secure cylinders to a stable surface and keep valve caps on when not in use. A pressurized cylinder can become a deadly projectile if the valve breaks. The silent killer. Nitrogen purge in a tank room. During a late-night purge operation in a chemical plant, nitrogen was used to clear a reactor line. The tank room had poor ventilation. A maintenance worker entered the area to retrieve tools and collapsed within minutes. He was found unconscious due to oxygen deficiency and later passed away in the hospital. What went wrong? No oxygen monitoring in the area. No confined space permit or entry procedures in place. Worker entered alone without atmospheric testing. Safety takeaway. Nitrogen displaces oxygen silently. Never enter purge areas or confined spaces without testing the atmosphere first and ensuring oxygen levels are safe. Always follow confined space entry protocols. The wrong regulator. Fuel gas explosion. A contractor in a fabrication yard attached an oxygen regulator to an acetylene cylinder. The fittings appeared to match, but the pressure ratings and materials were incompatible. Minutes later, the regulator burst, causing a flash fire that severely burned the worker and ignited nearby materials. What went wrong? Incorrect regulator used for the gas type. No equipment inspection or verification. The worker forced the connection. Safety takeaway. Only use regulators rated for the specific gas. Forcing mismatched fittings can lead to pressure failures or ignition. Always inspect and verify all components before use. Now that we've reviewed the key points, it's time for a quick quiz to check your understanding. After that, we'll open the floor to any questions you may have. Thank you for participating in this training, and remember, safety starts with you.